Sound check one. Good afternoon. We have quorum present. I'd like to call the meeting of the Hamilton Tourism Development Corporation Board of Directors to order. Please remember that all electronic devices are to be switched to a non-audible function during committee meetings. Approval of agenda. May I please have a mover and second to approve the agenda as presented? Councillor Kassar, Councillor Wang, are there any amendments from board members to the agenda? I don't think there are. Just 1 second. Clerk, hi, Councillor Clark. The clerk's going to let you know why you don't need to be here today.
Hello, Councillor Clark. This is the not the shareholder meeting. This is the board meeting. You are welcome to stay if you would like to, but you are not on the board.
God bless you all. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Have a great day, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have the approval of the agenda as presented on the floor. We have a mover and a seconder. Show of hands, please. And that carries. Declarations of interest. Any declarations of interest? Seeing none, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes of the previous meeting, 4.1, February 11, 2025. Councillor Wang, Councillor Kassar, are you okay to approve the minutes? Perfect. Any discussion on the approval of the minutes? Seeing none, show of hands, please. That carries. Items for information. Hamilton Tourism Development Corporation update for the Board of Directors. We have Treasurer of the Corporation, Shelley Hesmer, will provide an overview of the Hamilton Tourism Development Corporation update, as well as Vice President Lisa Abbott, and Ryan McHugh is here. And I don't have another name. Who am I missing?
Pam Holland.
Hi. Hi, Pam. Sorry, I don't have your name here, so I apologize. Shelley, whenever you're ready. Lisa first. Yeah, one of those fancy buttons. There you go.
There we go. Thank you so much. I'll just share my presentation. Good afternoon to the chair and members of the Hamilton Tourism Development Corp. I'm Lisa Abbott, Director, Tourism and Culture. In addition to being the Vice President of the HTDC, I'm here today with Tourism and Events Manager Ryan McHugh, Pam Holland, and Shelley Hesmer. We are today to provide an update on the 2024 and 2025 activities related to Tourism Hamilton, in addition to presenting new funding requests for approval for initiatives taking place in 2026 and beyond. As a reminder, the HTDC was established to enable the collection of a 4% municipal accommodation tax on hotel stays, collected by the Ontario Restaurant, Hotel and Motel Association, ORMA, and deposited evenly between the city's municipal accommodation tax reserve and the HTDC tax reserve. There are policies in place to direct spending for both reserve accounts, and the approved 2024 to 2028 tourism strategy is our guiding document to provide priorities that support the strategy and to grow tourism in Hamilton. Those strategic priorities are to grow Hamilton's reputation as a leading tourism destination, to create vibrant tourism districts, to promote and support the sustainability of our natural assets, and to strengthen major festivals and events. Here is a summary of the approved spending in 2024 that includes high priority, high impact initiatives that were called out in the previous budget cycle, which totaled $1.8 million. On an annual basis, we will request additional funding from this board for new initiatives and spending in the upcoming year, as well as an updated roadmap that lets you have a line of sight over multiple upcoming years. Today, for example, we'll be taking you through new requests that will total $1.25 million paid out over multiple years, with $467,000 paid out next year. I'll turn this over now to Ryan McHugh. He will provide a bit of an update on 2024 and the 2025 upcoming asks. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Lisa. My microphone's on? Yes, perfect. So just some highlights of some of the projects which were approved last year. So last year we received approval for $300,000 towards our Juno bid. I'm happy to say that we were successful in this bid and we will be hosting the Junos in March of 2026. We also have secured the Canada-wide science fairs in both 2027 and 2029. We've entered into a contribution agreement with the Canada-wide science fair. So that is signed, secured, and our team is scoping out what's required from an operational standpoint to ensure that's a great success. Also, we have our Indigenous Tourism Experience Study, which is near completion. Our consultant has provided us a final draft, and we're currently working just on the implementation plan, which will accompany that document. Our Waterfall Destination Master Plan, I'm happy to say that the RFP for that work just closed last week. We received 7 submissions, and the team's currently reviewing those and looking to award a successful consultant. Based on our project timeline, it's our expectation that the final plan would go to GIC for comment in 1Q of 2026. And also from a placemaking and safeties initiative, we've had a number of projects launch in terms of placemaking related to Winterfest and other downtown activations, as well as money earmarked for additional targeted security and paid duty police officers as required when we have large events in town, specifically meetings and conventions here on Summers Lane. So those are just some verbal updates. Another one I want to speak to, which was a little late breaking, and this is, I'd say, mixed news. So I'd say the unfortunate piece is we were doing plenty of work to work with Curling Canada to bid on the Montana's Briar. So we had a lot of great outreach with the partners throughout the community. The venue where that would primarily take place is the First Ontario Centre, and they would have required 10 days for competition and 9 days to create the ice. After much conversation with Oakview Group, they just couldn't dedicate that amount of time to this event. So in there is the positive that that building through that private sector entity of Oakview Group has that building busy enough that an event like this may not be feasible in the next few years. So this is something we are communicating to Curling Canada and our funding partners. So although we won't be able to pursue this, we will come back at the next board meeting and have recommendations about where that allocation of $300,000 would go in the absence of this event. So that's that one. So in terms of new requests, we have a few, we have a few new requests in front of you today. So the first is an allocation of money to help us pursue various meetings and conventions, sport and cultural events. And currently, as you're aware, we've had a lot of success executing the big stuff, the Junos, the Grey Cups, the Canadian Opens. We've had a lot of success on what we'll say are the singles, I guess baseball season, so I'll say singles and doubles, the provincial conferences, the amateur sporting events, hockey, lacrosse, you name it. But where we need to be more nimble based on the feedback of our partners is in those, call them doubles and triples, the types of things that materialize where you need 50K, 100K to bid, and oftentimes those RFPs are sent out with a couple weeks notice. So it's something where without a funding source to point to, unless we're calling emergency meetings quite regularly, those become problematic. A few examples are the AMO as an example. Councillor Wang, I know we spoke about. Markham currently hosts the Little NHL, the Indigenous Hockey Tournament. That's something we're really looking to pursue. We're doing some work on international children's games, which we'll be providing updates on in the coming months. But those types of opportunities, which aren't years in advance, where we can line up reports on the funding. Of course, if approved through these meetings, we would report back with what we bid on, what's been awarded, and those funds wouldn't be allocated and spent unless we were successful in achieving those events. We don't pay to bid on events. We put money towards, if we're successful, how we would assist with costs of city services, rentals, those types of things. Okay, so next one is related to destination marketing investment. So in the tourism strategy, there was a number of actions related to enhancing our marketing efforts. One which was a new initiative was focusing more on pride in place locally. Mentioned that it's 70% of tourism in Hamilton is visiting friends and relatives, and the public sentiment isn't strong. We're not inviting friends and relatives to come enjoy our city. We do have, it's a campaign called Let Me Show You. It has various business leaders, arts leaders, the community talking about why Hamilton is special to them and why you should check it out. So it'll be more work like that locally, and those initiatives are great because they help locally, but they also help us sell visitors. to come to town. And we also have campaigns which we do we call them lure campaigns to get visitors to come and visit. Often we do paid social media reach as well. So a lot of great work that our marketing team is working on. This would enable that. As well with the arena opening, that's going to be over 1 million visitors a year going through that building. Working with Oakview Group, we just want to make sure that we don't lose that captive audience once they go into the arena. We're continuing to say, here's where you go eat, have a drink. If you want to stay over, here's the hotel. We don't want people coming in, seeing the show and leaving. We want them to spend dollars locally and support local businesses. So we do have an allocation of money, which we would like to work with Oakview Group to deploy that messaging to those guests. And third request also was an action item in the tourism strategy, which was approved, is $200,000 towards completing our nighttime economy study. And if you recall, when we presented this to council related to the tourism strategy, there really are two pieces to this exercise. So one is a review of our policies, procedures, bylaws to say where can we perhaps either relax them or make them a little more business friendly to allow reasonable experimentation. And also external consultation, not with just our local downtowns restaurants, but also community groups, equity deserving groups as well, to see what can we do to amend our policies, procedures, to really spur creativity and create safety. And this is something we're working very closely with the downtown study as well. We sit on that committee and we're making sure that this enhances those efforts and does not duplicate them. So next, another action from the tourism strategy was for us as Tourism Hamilton to pursue our Green Step Sustainability Tourism Certification. And this is the industry standard for destination management organizations such as Tourism Hamilton. And really, we, through our self-assessment, determined that's very probable that as of today, we would achieve what's called the bronze certification. But the nice thing through this, they have the actions you'd have to hit to get to silver and gold. So when we approach something like climate change, it provides us very real actions and targets we can put in our business plan so that there's actual meat on the bones of tangible things we can achieve. And not only is this the right thing to do in our view, from a climate change perspective, especially related to meetings and conventions, organizations are looking for DMOs, destination management organizations, to adhere to best practices. So this would provide us a level of competitiveness in that market space as well. And last request in front of you today is related to our product development program. So in the tourism strategy, developing and launching a product development program was a major theme and related to a number of actions. And tourism product development, when you come to Hamilton, it's obvious we have a great culinary scene, great public art, cultural assets, natural assets. But a lot of times as a visitor, they're not sure how to experience those and enjoy those. So what product development program will do is work with different businesses and community groups to incentivize them to package those offerings into something we can market, and that could generate income to local operators. And it would be something that allows us, if you're in town for this convention and you want to enjoy our culinary scene, here's a food tour. If you want to enjoy our public art, whether that's the Indigenous artwork we have or just general downtown or any community throughout our city has a growing, impressive public art, we could work to have tours that we can promote and make it a bite-sized, easy way to consume those beautiful attributes of the city for people who may not have all the time in the world to research them. So this is really a big one, and that program is being currently developed, and this would allow us to not just get this approved, but execute it throughout this year and next. So that's a pot of money that would not just take us through this year, but it would get us to the end of next year, and we're excited about some of the things that we see developing from this that we can report on at future meetings. And so now we have Shelley Hesper, who's our treasurer, who's going to provide a financial update.
Good afternoon. Through the chair, Shelley Hesmer, Treasurer of Hamilton Tourism Development Corporation. So the slide that's up in front of us today, I'm going to walk you through, is the 2025 to 2030 projected cash flow for funding requests. So this is, again, just taking a lens at what it looks like with our new request and our previously approved request. So for opening balance for 2025, we have approximately $2.3 million in the bank, and we're forecasting an additional $580,000 in revenues to come in from the Hamilton Tourism Development MAT funding. Through there, you can see there's 5 new requests that Ryan just walked you through, so I won't go through them specifically in detail. But what it does is it breaks down the allocation. So the total being asked is the $500,000, the $300,000 for the destination marketing investment, $200,000 for the Hamilton nighttime economy study, and then $50,000 for the Attain Green Step Sustainable Tourism Certification, and then the $200,000 there as well for the Tourism Product Development Program. So it breaks out the allotment. Beneath that is the previously approved items that were brought forward and already approved. And so what we're trying to do here again is just break it down and provide a picture for the board of what the funding allotments look like as they're spread out and where we would reside from a balance at year end, year over year. So in 2025, you can see there's a net cumulative balance, which is $2 million. That is the balance that we need to maintain in the reserve. So in order to do what we have in front of you presented, we would need $2 million to remain in the reserve, and we would have to draw down on our line of credit. So just as a refresher, the City of Hamilton and Hamilton Tourism Development Corporation already have an agreement in place for 2 line of credits, one for operations and one for administrative activities. And again, the intent would be that in order to keep the program moving forward, we would need to draw on the line of credits. Which is not an issue because as you can see, we've forecasted in, if you look at 2027, a repayment back to that loan. So what we draw on, we're going to look to pay back in 2027. And from there on forward, you can see by 2030, we're looking to have a balance in there of approximately $6.8 million. But again, just want to remind everyone that that balance there is obviously as more projects and initiatives come forward, we will bring more asks forward, but that is basically a glimpse of where we're at today when we look at new requests and previously approved items. And then this is our 2025 budget. So this is our forecasted budget for January 1st to December 31st, 2025. And for revenues, we're forecasting approximately $1 million, which is a combination of our hotel municipal accommodation tax revenue of $920,000 and interest income of approximately $190,000. And so the interest income is basically the interest on our bank balance that we would have for 2025. And then beneath that is the expenditures. So the expenses for 2025, we're forecasting approximately $1.47 million. And that is primarily made up of the $1.3 million in bid fees and tourism projects and initiatives. And again, those are the new requests that are coming forward today, which Ryan has walked you guys through. So that's what makes up that total. In the software and subscriptions, there's $2,000 for that. That's our software that we use for doing our bookkeeping. We have professional fees as well for consulting, which is our bookkeeping fees of $5,000. Audit fees for external auditors of approximately $9,000. City staff costs that we pay out is $31,000 approximately. And then we also have our ORMA fees, which we pay 50% of the administrative fees, and the city also pays 50% as well to make up the 100% of those fees. There's insurance of $7,200, legal fees of approximately $700, and then our finance charges are approximately $30,000. That number is our bank fees along with the interest that we need to pay on our line of credit as well. So overall for 2025, we are forecasting a loss of $361,547. And again, I just want to remind everybody, like, this is normal for an organization that's just getting started because we needed to have that minimum $2 million in the reserve in order to get started. That's why we put a request forward to have a line of credit so we could keep projects and moving forward. So that loss that's sitting there, we obviously would end up being in a surplus position as we move forward and more revenue comes in for the tourism tax. So I will stop there and open up the floor for any questions.
Thank you, everyone, for the presentation. Councillor Wang, would you like to start? And then we'll go to Councillor Kassar if he has questions as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I'll start with Shelley first. I appreciate the spreadsheet. If we're not going to move forward with the Briar, does it make sense for us to draw down at 425,000 when there's at this point a savings of 300,000? So could we use the savings from the Briar to now offset some of our?
To the councillor, that's correct. Yes, we can definitely do that. So if that is not happening, then we would take that into consideration and we would take that out. So we wouldn't draw on the line of credit for something we do not need.
Okay, but are we going to have that conversation today? Because I think that there's an opportunity for us to leverage that 300,000 and maybe help offset some of the other costs, like say nighttime economy or the Waterfalls Master Plan. Is that an opportunity?
I believe that is up for discussion at the will of yourselves. If you guys want to have a discussion, I would leave that to maybe see if Ryan and Lisa want to comment on that.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Through the chair to Councillor Wang, absolutely that $300,000 won't materialize, and at the moment we haven't drawn on those funds, so there'd be no reason to. So I don't believe that we would need any motions to obtain that, but those funds would be used to make sure we draw less on the line of credit. We can kind of take that as direction, and at the next board meeting we can adjust our requests appropriately. If you feel that's suitable, but as staff, I think we can take that as direction and achieve that same outcome without a formal resolution, but whatever makes you and the board most comfortable.
Chair, I think I'm just interested in this 300,000, mostly because there's a lot of different activities on the go. So my next couple of questions, hope I still have that time. When we talk about the Waterfall Destination Master Plan, we have the RFP to procure a consultant. Where are those dollars coming from? Because this is where I get really confused, because we have our own, as a board and as a wholly separate corporation, we have these activities that we can do. However, we always use city resources in order to help with, say, procurement. And then we also have staff, so tourism staff, that would likely be the project champions that would probably oversee the consultant. So I start to get really confused about who's owning this project now. Is this an HTDC or is this a tourism city department that's managing this consultant?
Thank you for your question through the chair. Great question. It is very entangled. The project is funded through HTDC, but managed through the tourism and events team. You saw on the balance sheet, there are some considerations taken for staff time that gets taken from the HTDC funds and moved to the city. So that to a certain extent, it is taken into consideration. The city owns the project and runs the project, but it is funded through HTDC.
Oh, okay. So just in very clear terms then, the funding of this consultant is coming out of HTDC and not from the tax levy?
That's correct.
Okay. That is an excellent, that's all I'm looking for, is I want to understand who's paying for what. Okay. My last question through you, Chair, is how closely tied do we work as a corporation with some of the other strategies? So I'm thinking about the museum strategy that'll be coming forward. In essence, we have a National Historic Museum in Dundurn Castle, and I'd like to understand, is there an opportunity to leverage these assets as part of our destination marketing strategy that is now being funded through HTDC? So I want to understand, what does that interplay look like? Because if our museum strategy is off under the city's umbrella. However, we do have an asset that's a nationally recognized museum, and we're not doing very much with it. So I'd like to understand, how does that work?
Thank you for the question to answer through the chair. So very much part of that destination marketing piece. So packaging things like visits to Dundurn with other things to do. So again, similar to my last question, this marketing piece, the destination product development, is funded through HTDC for the purposes of promoting what the city has to offer. And that includes our wonderful assets in the museum. Because tourism and culture sits in the same area, it's very easy to collaborate and to focus on the city's assets, like the ones that you've mentioned. Thank you.
Okay. I have more questions, but I'll wait until after the other board members ask questions then.
Sure. We'll let Councillor Kassar go ahead, and then we'll come back to you. Councillor, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. And through you, first question I think is for Treasurer Hesmer. I'm just trying to reconcile the two revenue numbers on slide 10, 580,000, and then slide 11, 1.1 million. I'm sure there's an obvious answer there, but I'm not connecting the dots. If you could help me understand that, please.
Through the chair, thank you for your question. So yes, so the projected cash flow is for funding requests. So on there, it doesn't specifically pull in the revenues as well for interest income on that slide. We've sort of mapped out of that cash flow the operating expenditures in there, and the investment income was not included in there. This was more a high level, just focused in on the projects that were being brought forward or already approved.
Okay, I don't think that answers, though, it's a pretty significant difference between 580,000 on slide 10 under the revenue, total revenue for 2025. And then on slide 11, just the MAT is 920,000, not including interest income. So it's that difference I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, sorry, I misunderstood your question. So yes, the opening balance on the cash flow already includes revenue this year that we've already received in the MAT revenue, in the opening balance. The 580 is the remaining amount that we're looking to collect for the remainder of 2025. Yes.
Okay, that's an excellent answer. That's clear to me now. Chair, one other question then, I guess maybe for Lisa or Ryan. I'm supportive of the new requests. They make sense. I think they're targeted and they have purpose and desired outcomes. I also interpret them as kind of bound by the budget that we have available. So if for a moment, just hypothetically, you took away budget constraints, what are the next things, or are there other things or bigger things will we do more that you would invest in to generate more tourism beyond the budget that we have, if that's clear through you, Chair?
Through the chair to Councillor Kassar, great question. So when we looked at the actions put forward in the 2024 to 2028 tourism strategy, really, staff, we have a council mandate to achieve those actions over that time duration. So these are the requests that we feel, one, are most urgent, and two, give us enough time to complete these projects and come with the next wave. So an example, one that was identified in the tourism strategy, which will have huge implications in the downtown and West Harbour. We're reviewing the city's pedestrian wayfinding signage. We're going to have the Hamilton Arena, likely with a new naming right, Convention Center. A lot of the signage down there, is multiple generations. It's not one look, one feel. So that's something where a review of that is a project that likely next year we would come forward with the funding ask and then execute over the remaining years of this strategy. So in the tourism strategy, there were, I think it was 30 to 40 actions. What's in front of you today really moves forward a number of them, but we've really looked at our work plan and said, what can we realistically do with the staff we have? Even with all the funding in the world, we would need the resources to execute it. So I think we're looking to set ourselves up for success by requesting funds when we're ready to act on the projects, all while ensuring all of those actions are completed with all the identified outcomes by the end of this tourism strategy. We picked the 4 years because we felt that was aggressive but doable, especially in that strategy. We pointed to municipal accommodation tax funding as how we would fund any incremental expenditures. So we feel if we stick to that plan and these items are supported, we feel we can meet those aggressive timelines.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, through you, Chair, that's a really helpful answer. Thank you very much. Those are all my questions.
Thank you. Councillor Wang?
Thank you. Back to the projected cash flow sheet, total revenue of 1.5 million. How does this account for any investment attraction for, say, new hotels or the rise in short-term rentals or anything like that? So how does that also account for growth within the accommodations sector?
So I can start through the chair answering that question. So when you look at the add total revenue line, you can see there's projected increases. We've taken into consideration where there'll be new hotels coming on board or additional revenue coming in. So in the events that are coming forward. So we've taken that into consideration already in those revenues.
Okay. And then when it comes to those considerations, how would the advisory board, because there's another advisory team that helps with that, how have they participated in any of these developments at all?
Through the chair to Councillor Wang. So a lot of the same potential members of an advisory board were consulted as we form the tourism strategy. So as we develop the terms of reference and criteria to select the right representation of leaders throughout the community to make up that advisory board, we're taking the consultation we had, which led to the strategy. Let's get some of these actions in motion. So we have been, we hold quarterly, we call them Team Hamilton meetings, which have about, say, 40 to 50 different tourism businesses. We have quarterly meetings with our hotels to talk about those. But at the moment, we don't have that advisory group formally in place. That is an action item on our work plan this year. We are looking over the summer to have a framework, which we would put to the members of the community, which pay into this. But we do want to ensure certainly hotels are represented because that is the primary source, but not just hotels. We want to make sure restaurants, cultural organizations have a say in this. So we want to make sure we really get that balance right. But in the meantime, we've been consulting heavily with those same partners essentially to make sure that what we're bringing to you today, it's backed, or if there are issues, like we can speak to them. So that doesn't exist yet, but by the end of the year, that will be in place. But we did a lot of consultation as part of this exercise, and we feel that's basically baked into these asks.
Okay. My last question is around the tourism event attraction component, specifically when it comes to conferences and conventions. You did mention AMO. AMO's like 3,000 people that will come, and that's like, I know it's like, that's kind of hitting our max in terms of the capacity in which we can secure them and with hospital stays. But what about, how are we going out and getting some of the smaller ones? This week is nursing week. My sister's the chief nursing officer, so I'm very top of mind for me. But CANO, the Canadian Association of Nurses, they're doing their 800 sort of strong kind of conference, but they draw from all over Canada, and they go to places like St. John's, Newfoundland, or they'll go out to Victoria, BC. So I wonder, how do we go off and attract those types of sub 1,000 kind of attendees?
So through the chair to Councillor Wang. So we do have a tourism product development specialist who works on the meetings and convention sector very closely with our hotel partners in the convention center. So they do have there are different conferences and trade shows for event planners. So we certainly attend those as well. We also, as an example, there's the Canadian Society of Association Executives was one we bid on. We look like we're in a favorable position, but I can't say that one's ours. As an example, that would be about 300 association presidents coming to Hamilton, where we can essentially put a familiarization tour, and hopefully they all go away. So we really do everything we can to do targeted familiarization tours through our networks. We all know somebody who sits on a border agency to leverage those contacts, but we do have a sales strategy in place. We do have a member of our team who is most responsible for bringing in this business with the $10 million of renovation happening in our convention center. We have a good story to tell, especially when you accompany that with the arena investment. So we are getting a lot of looks now that we may not have gotten in the past. The venue floor plate won't be significantly bigger, but the aesthetics will certainly be much improved. The technology will be first class. As well, we do have a little more space to accommodate larger groups. So we're getting more and more competitive. We have a strategy in place, but with the new convention center investments, we're going to be really well positioned to bring more, not just provincial, national, even international conventions and meetings to town.
And to be clear, when we say we have someone on our team, it's actually on the city side that actually has that. HTDC is actually paying a portion of their salary in order to do the work that HTDC needs.
So through the chair, yes, I'm not an officer of HTDC. I'm essentially the requester as Tourism Hamilton. So when I say we, my apologies. I meant my tourism and events team and tourism and culture. Yes, and as the requester, we're looking to request funds of this board, which would help enable this great work of my team.
Yeah, I think that that's helpful just because I wanted to just be clear on public record about the fact that HTDC doesn't have really people. We're just almost like a bit of a fiduciary governor of these dollars. And I just want to make clear that that's how this is funneling into other places. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor. Just a comment for me. I appreciate the presentation. I think it was good that we are doing what we think we can do as opposed to trying to do more and then not delivering. So happy to see that it's a pretty detailed and concrete approach and hoping to hit all those targets, which is good. And hopefully some of the money that's going into the downtown initiative, the nighttime one, will help with the safety and maybe lighting up some more areas down there and making people feel safe and comfortable coming to our downtown, because we need a vibrant downtown. I think that it just sort of starts there and then goes throughout the city. So happy to see that. And I have nothing else to say. I don't know if we have, what do I need here? A mover and a seconder? I don't think I have one. No. Councillor Wang, Councillor Cassar, and a show of hands to receive the presentation. And that carries. Items for consideration, 6.1, 2025 operating budget. Are there any questions on the 2025 operating budget? Nope, perfect. As this item is part of the board resolutions under item 10.1, we will not vote now, but we'll vote to approve it with the rest of the resolutions. 6.2, HTDC 25001, Tourism Hamilton Project Funding Request, 2025 allocation. Any questions that haven't been asked already? No? Awesome. So then what we'll do is move on to the board of directors, because I don't believe we have motions or notice of motions or private and confidential. So board of director resolutions, 10.1. Councillor Cassar, seconded by Councillor Wang, to put the resolutions of the board of directors on the floor. And now we'll open up the resolutions for discussion. Councillor Wang, go ahead.
I think that my question is like, what do we want to do about that 300,000 from the Briar? And I want to make sure that we do move forward on everything. I don't know what my next course of action is here. I just want to understand what are we doing with this 300,000?
So as of right now, I think the way it sits, staff would make that decision as their year rolls on. They're not using the money, and I'm assuming they'll move it accordingly. If you want to have something official on the record, then you can move a motion directing staff to ensure that $300,000 goes back to wherever it's supposed to go. But that's up to you. I'm comfortable with the way staff is going to reallocate the money, but if you want to put direction, that's completely up to you.
Maybe I'll just ask what is more preferable then.
Thank you. To respond to the question through the chair, currently the money still sits in the reserve. We have not drawn it, so we wouldn't need to put it back. We haven't taken it yet.
Oh, so then that way the balance sheet would just change then, because rather than it being allocated towards something, it just then we don't have to draw down on 425,000 and we would draw down on whatever's left over. Is that correct then?
Through the chair, I believe that's correct. I'm going to turn my head to Shelley.
Through the chair, that is correct. We will not draw that 300,000 out of either the line or correct. We won't touch the 300,000. It's sitting in the reserve right now, so it'll stay there and remain there.
So then how does that change all of our documents then? Because now you have given us several documents that includes that 300,000. Do we issue an update or what do we do in that instance? It's not it.
The 300,000 is forecasted for 2026. It wasn't forecasted for 2025.
Okay, so then.
So right now,
documents moving forward, you won't ever see them anymore. Okay.
that's correct. Yeah.
All right, I just wanted to understand what was happening with that. Thank you very much. Those are all my questions then, Chair.
Councillor Kassar, any questions? Nope. Perfect. Then we will go to the vote on, and it needs to be electronic, please, for this one. Vote is up. That carries 3-0. Thank you. And there's no other business of this committee, so the meeting is adjourned at 2:41 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.